Oh, there's a goal!
Oh, at least I thought he was gonna until he blew it.
Prepare yourselves for Tank Bowl! Two teams enter, only one comes out with a better draft position. Remember everyone, the key here isn't to win but to lose. In this affair, both of these trash heaps raced as far down the landfill as they could. From a football perspective, it was one of the worst games ever presented by the Shield in a very long time. If you had a misfortune of going to such a travesty, you should demand a refund for your time. Josh Rosen unfortunately didn't get the memo. He's leading his team to victory. Someone break his legs so the drive is sabotaged. Please, for the love of God!
One timeout left for Arizona. And here is Rosen into the end zone. Touchdown!
God damn it, Rosen, why did you have to choose now to flash your talents? You've cost the Cardinals precious draft position and allowed the Niners to dance into the night. Arizona may have won the battle, but the Niners have just won the war for Nick Bosa. Prepare yourselves for another Tank Bowl! This one is a tad more watchable than the previous iteration, if only because the offenses managed to do something. The name of this game was Awful Defenses, both teams imitating the swinging door at those old saloons, stopping nothing. Despite dealing with a battered squad and handless receivers, Andrew Luck showcased his talent and carried a rebuilding Colts squad to victory against a team that was thought of as a potential Super Bowl contender 15 months ago. The Raiders now have nothing. Just a bunch of old people and the rotting corpse of Derek Carr behind an awful offensive line. Don't worry, boys, you only have to pay John Gruden for another 9+ years. God, you were fucked. Thursday Night Football will be different this week. It's going to be full of competitive play and nope, just fucking with you, it's more Tank Bowl! The two winners of last week's Tank Bowls meeting up for what should be a shit show for the ages. San Fran has meticulously prepared for this moment. CJ Beathard is hurt and they cut Tom Savage. They're starting a greenhorn named Nick Mullins? Who? The Raiders may be responding with the kicker that lost his soul in Green Bay, but this is perfect for the Niners. Why in God's name is Nick Mullins throwing like an absolute baller? No, Niners, don't walk away from the cliff. You're supposed to tank the other way. Tank the other way. No bueno, San Francisco. Bad touch. You're fucking up your perfect plan. Ugh, the powers of Thursday Night Football were too great for even the mightiest of Santa Clara's tanks to handle. Despite winning back-to-back Tank Bowls, has any team fallen harder than Oakland these past 2 years? Yes, you're totally going to be competitive with a bunch of old guys. Next week, Mark Davis will suffer a face melt and reveal the T-800. Oh my, what an exhilarating matchup this is going to be. A former USC phenom up against a travesty of a team. Did I mention Sam Darnold's not playing? Yep, Peter Meme is so awful that he's been replaced by former Trojan Matt Barkley, who is somehow still alive. Oh my god, I figured it out. It's a Phantom Tank Bowl! It was a bit questionable at first, but these moves have them pivoting towards that sweet, sweet reward of that top draft pick. Buffalo has been fucking awful, but they, like San Francisco before them, didn't understand the rules of the game. They are fracking them like a Pagula gas well, draining them of all their beautiful resources as Jets fans re-experience the equivalent of the fake spike. Buffalo, you can come out of hiding again. Fuck it, let's bring out both meters. Who cares about all the chiropractor bills? These tables aren't going to break themselves. This isn't any standard butt fumbling from the Jets. This is a goddamn master's thesis of butt fumbling. Such epic failure. Against that offense, against that quarterback? How the fuck does Todd Bowles still have this job? He can go Rooney roll his way straight to the back of the Boogermobile. Fucking useless. It's a match that's truly worthy of the Monday Night Football broadcast. Tank Bowl! There's nothing quite like two teams that fancy themselves as playoff contenders at the start of the year only to be so terrible that they're engaged in another battle for Bosa. This game was as uninspiring as these two teams are to the untrained eye. They both have the spirit of the tank. I know it's admirable, but California has dealt with enough shit over the past week. Sports are supposed to be an escape, not an additional on-field tragedy. Oh, fun times. The 49ers and Nick Mullen somehow managed to do something and have the lead with less than a minute left. This is when Eli Manning, with the worst timing imaginable, derps his way to another victory. Not content with his backup getting arrested a few weeks ago, he gives New York a reason to age a decade. Once again, a team fails to understand the rules of Tank Bowl. The Giants needed shit Eli and they got his passable mode. Oh boy, he led a drive against the fucking 49ers. Let's crown him a Hall of Famer despite the fact that he got carried by OBJ and Saquon. Speaking of Odell Beckham, he's making a bold prediction for the G-Men. They're going to go 9-7! If both teams are utter trash, yet are still trying to win football games, would you call it a tank bowl? Let me take a closer look here. Oh yeah, it's a tank bowl. OBJ's bold prediction of the G-Men fucking up their tank and embracing mediocrity again took a big step forward, much to the dismay of their fans. Those creamsicles have a secret weapon in their renewed quest for mockery. The wonders of Fitzception, his turnover prowess nearly rivaling that of famous Jameis today. He was the greatest asset to New York for the majority of the game. Alas, as mentioned earlier, Tampa Bay is trying to foolishly win games, so Fitzception was forced to imitate Conor McGregor on the bench as Jameis Winston returns from his sabbatical. The fighting is furious as Tampa Bay strikes for every inch, every yard in these hostile lands. The momentum is all theirs in the final drive. Shoplift for victory, Jameis.
And Jameis to air it out. Looking forward to Sean Jackson.
The bakery is back in business. Beautiful. The preceding Tank Bowl, that was merely whetting the appetite. Prepare yourselves for the main event. A true Tank Bowl! Two teams deep in the shit. One team openly punting the season, another clinging onto whatever sliver of hope they had left. The Cardinals executives hoping they don't get axed for the team dying in the desert. Derek Carr openly fighting with Chucky on the sidelines. I wonder whom ownership is going to side with. Hint, he is a 10-year deal. The game brought about the true spirit of the tank, despite both teams pretending to care about winning. We all know they want that sweet, sweet top draft pick. It's a flashback to Ali versus Frazier. Both fighters trading blows in order to be knocked out and lose the bout. Arizona has the lead, but Oakland has the ball. Don't even think about it, guys. You've been doing so well in the Tank Brigade. Don't ruin it with victory.
On a 35-yard attempt, and the Raiders have won it.
Congratulations, Raiders. You've planted a landmine underneath your precious tank. The first overall pick might be in jeopardy thanks to your first win without the aid of ref ball. Hope it was worth it. How many Tank Bowls are we gonna have this year anyway? Well, roll the intro. The relentless quarterback carousel in Tampa Bay continues as Jameis Winston returns against what should be easy pickings. What a surprise they are. The 49ers are in between Overcooked and Hockey Puck as the Creamsicles instill a spirited beating on them. There is something that concerns me about the Buccaneers though. Famous Jameis didn't make a turnover, and they made all of their field goals. Is this a sign of the apocalypse? Quick, Niners, send us your sacrifice. Another arrest for that guy? God, what a fucking idiot. It may have been a week with a broken tread, but the draft position shuffle is back in business. Prepare for more Tank Bowl! In fact, it's another rematch in the quest for the other number one, the first pick in the draft. At the very least, we get the rookie QBs instead of old man versus random guy off the street. As the Bills reached out for an early lead, they then had an epiphany. They understood the rules of the game. Even with a grizzled Jet squad who bathes in the tank, Buffalo decided that one more week of agony could subside. Thus results in a rather ugly game of football despite being close in score. The whole thing felt like more of a comedy reel. It's too bad Kelvin Benjamin wasn't around to join in the festivities. It may help, but there was one problem. The Jets were too desperate to stay employed.
The tight end Herndon in motion. Here we go. 4th and goal. McGuire. And he is in for the Jets.
New York may have butt fumbled their own tank again. A top 5 pick potentially squandered for the foolish cause of job security. At the very least, Buffalo gets more predictable misery. They join the Jets in the elimination room. I know the Jets technically were still alive until the Titans won on Thursday, but let's be real, they weren't making it in. A small error, but there was probably only one outcome where they clinch a berth. I'm not losing sleep over it. Less than 2 years ago, these teams were playing in the NFC Championship game. Today, they fight for another prize. Tank Bowl! The Falcons and Packers in a Tank Bowl match. Let's just say I didn't have this in the itinerary when the season started. But they both are near the bottom of the standings, so yes, this is a Tank Bowl. Green Bay still believes that they can make the postseason, so they crushed all opposition from Atlanta. But like the championship game, the Falcons claim the ultimate prize. Their season is unofficially over. Unlike Atlanta United, who's probably going to choke it away like usual. They won? I'm honestly surprised. Georgia and winning are a rare combination, and we have just witnessed it. It will comfort you for like a day, maybe 2, but I could be generous there. In these incredible clashes, we must go back to our roots and remember what's truly important to the NFL. Tank Bowl! The battle for the basement continues in a miserable shitfest that is worthy of the ideals that Tank Bowl represents. Detroit may be new to this sort of event, but still find a way to fail at everything they do. They were outmatched in all things tanking by Arizona, true veterans of such terrible affairs. I bet they even practice for such failure. It's the only way I can explain them being so unprepared and disheveled in football. As the tanks roll on, the least surprising news reaches home. The Cardinals are out of the playoffs. Arizona, what you are hearing is the sound of your playoff contending window slamming shut on your fingers. Apparently, whatever competitive spirit you had left when Arians retired. Enjoy the arduous rebuild, boys. There is absolutely nothing else that happened this week. I refuse to believe it. This game doesn't exist. The spirit of the top draft pick is in full swing now. Prepare yourselves for a Tank Bowl. It's the only thing this matchup is good for, the loser gaining the spoils of a higher pick, the winner beating themselves in the long run. It's too bad the Falcons didn't promote this as such. May have managed to put a few more butts in the seats. Once again, Arizona did what they do best. Be so terrible that they would force any rational human being to disown them on the spot. The Cardinals were humiliated on such a public scale that you'd think there was another sex abuse scandal in the news. I would call the Cardinals trash, but that is an insult to it. There isn't a word to really describe them. To do so would require deep research into several forbidden demonic languages to find a suitable word. Even Arizona knew this and threw the $15 million man and Mike Glennon in there for garbage time. The Falcons win the game, but lose the tank, and, more importantly, are officially eliminated from the playoffs. I had a statement on your season, but it was broken and irreparable like the key playmakers on your defense. A toast to another notch on that painful legacy of failure. Speaking of a death of optimism, the Lions get a chance to avenge their reputation. Prepare the tanks. In the land of broken tables and dreams alike, the Bills square off in battle for Josh Allen's development and team pride. The game gets pretty ugly as both teams are dealing with a plethora of injuries. The Lions losing a few key players on D and the Bills running through nearly every single running back. Despite the grueling push, the fate of the game lies on Matt Prater. He doesn't miss in these clutch situations. That miss symbolizes the Lions season. A chance for clutch performances, and then they whiff. Congratulations, you lost to a Bill squad whose only healthy runner was the quarterback. In the gift bag, you'll find a cyanide capsule to kill off your postseason hopes. The moral of the story is simple. Never have hope. The Lions will just bitch about your posture in a press conference or something. Enjoy another off-season of question marks. Another Tank Bowl? How many are there going to be this week? Yeah, I think this joke is running on high mileage at this point. Oakland, I know it's been a rough year for you, but let's check the news. Maybe something good happened to you after that win against Pittsburgh. Well, you fired your GM Reggie McKenzie after he lost his power struggle, unsurprising. The city of Oakland is suing you and the NFL, that's always a sign of goodwill. This also means you could be thrown out of the city and have to scramble for a new home next year. Fun times. Here's Amari Cooper saying that John Gruden wasn't the one that got him traded. I need popcorn for this saga. And yes, Martavis Bryant got suspended indefinitely because he can't stop smoking weed. More good news. On the field, yeah, you got your shit kicked in by a broken team because your idea of stopping Joe Mixon was letting him run free in the hopes that he'd run out of batteries. Take this complimentary loss as nobody bothered to show up to the stadium to even see your ass kicking. Cincy wins the game and they also win another prize. Playoff elimination. Do you guys remember when the Bungles were 4-1? Seems like it's in a different age when you look back on it. You got exposed and your answer is probably going to be Hugh Jackson or more Marvin Lewis. You guys are fucked. Have a nice life. A team that's dealing with a smallpox infestation against a team that's flat out stopped giving a fuck. Another tank bowl? If there's any solace, I think there may not be too many of these left. This game was as terrible as everyone anticipated it would be. In a vacuum, Jacksonville would utterly crush this team. But you have to remember, this is a team starting Cody Kessler and whose players are already making vacation plans for January. It's just a shitfest in every way, shape, and form. Even then, the Redskins are the only team making any kind of movement with the ball. But the Jags aren't going to lose this. Come on.
It's 3rd and 16. They need the 29. Kessler and intercepted. Fabian Moreau.
Jacksonville found a way to go lower. They're going to lose to a quarterback that hasn't won a game in his career. Hashtag Saxonville needs to talk more shit. It's the only way to rectify this embarrassment.
36 yards right down the middle.
Holy shit, the Redskins still have playoff life. Do you believe in miracles? Jacksonville's trying to play Make-A-Wish over here. To the dismay of the morbid of us, Aaron Rodgers is willingly playing these last few games for team pride, thus robbing the world of a tank bowl. In what could be the final game for the Raiders in Oakland, it gets a glorious send-off. A heavyweight tank bowl! Oakland is so close to the goal of achieving the ultimate tank. If they lose out, they would succeed in getting a prime draft selection and give Gruden a chance at an excellent talent in the what the fuck are you doing, Raiders?
And look at the return he gets.
Don't go for the temporary high. You have a shot at a date with Bosa or Oliver.
As he gets free. How about it, Raider Nation?
You know what? Fine. Obliterate the hope of your carefully sculpted tank. Like I care that the Broncos are a shithouse and the black hole gets a bittersweet send-off. People just don't look at the big picture. On the other side of the coin, let's just say that Vance Joseph may end up having the time of his life in the unemployment line soon enough. To put him in Madden as slow development would be an insult to that rating. He's just not a head coach. Elway will fuck it up again, too. Just watch as he courts Mike Shanahan? Do you not see the team you're playing? Why do you go to the guy whose most recent accomplishment was fucking up RG3's career? God damn it, Denver, you're fucked too, aren't you? Another important event is taking place further north. A chance for the Cardinals to secure infamy, and for the Seahawks to solidify a date in Dallas for next week. Despite the season being a disaster for Arizona, they still desire to obliterate their own tank. They need any sort of momentum going into the offseason they can muster. This game has turned into a dead heat, a duel of desperation for Cardinals and Seahawks alike. Many mistakes were made, but Arizona uses a blocked punt to block their chance at the #1 pick. Despite all odds, the Cardinals tie the game on the foot of Zane Gonzalez. With 2 minutes left, Russell Wilson does what he does best and goes into bailout mode with several spectacular passes. The Seahawks win, but don't fret, Arizona, you've won a special prize. The first overall pick. Congratulations on your tank bowl. Step forward and receive your free Bosa, or whatever you desire.
Did you do it?
Yes.
What did it cost?
Everything.